All right, let's get into it, because Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's split is one of those stories that feels both shocking and heartbreaking at the same time. After nearly 2 decades of marriage, Nicole has officially filed for divorce. And what's coming out now paints a picture that's way more complicated than anyone expected.
Nicole cheated. That's the real reason I ended things with her. I know many of you may find it hard to believe.
So here's how it all unfolded. From the fairy tale beginning to the quiet unraveling that's been happening behind the scenes for months.
Let's rewind all the way back to 2005. Nicole Kidman was already an Oscar-winning actress, recently divorced from Tom Cruise, and Keith Urban was a rising country superstar, just breaking into global fame. They met at the G-Day USA Gala, that's the event celebrating Australians making it big in Hollywood, and according to Nicole, she instantly had a crush on him. But Keith? He didn't even call her for months. She later joked that she thought he wasn't interested. Turns out he was. He just didn't think a woman like Nicole Kidman would ever go for him. When he finally called, everything clicked. They talked for hours. Effortless is how they both described it later. Fast forward to June 2006, just a year later, they were married in Sydney in a candlelit ceremony filled with A-list guests. Russell Crowe, Hugh Jackman, Naomi Watts, Baz Luhrmann. It was the Australian power couple moment of the decade. Can you imagine? Hollywood royalty and country music charm? It felt like something out of a movie. What do you think? Did you ever imagine back then that this would be how it ended?
But even fairy tales have cracks. Just months after the wedding, Keith checked himself into rehab for substance use. He later said it nearly destroyed their marriage before it even began. It survived, but it's a miracle it did, he told Rolling Stone years later. Nicole stood by him completely. She didn't run, she didn't hide, she supported him through it. And he said publicly that if you want to see what love in action looks like, look at how Nicole handled that time. That's how their story always seemed to go. Not perfect, but strong. They faced challenges, yes, but they always came out of them together.
In 2008, their first daughter, Sunday Rose, was born. 3 years later came Faith Margaret via surrogate. Nicole has spoken openly about how much those girls meant to her, especially after struggling with fertility issues in the past. She said, "Our family is truly blessed." And for years, that's exactly how it looked. Blessed, peaceful, grounded. Instead of chasing fame, they built a quiet life in Nashville, away from paparazzi, away from the chaos of Hollywood. Keith would tour, Nicole would film, and they'd come back to their home base, just a normal family in a not-so-normal world. She once said, "We have a really good life in Nashville. Simple, quiet, and nourishing."
But as time went on, the cracks started to show again. Both of them have incredibly demanding careers. Nicole's been filming non-stop, Big Little Lies, Expats, Practical Magic 2, and often overseas. Meanwhile, Keith's been touring across the US almost year-round. In the beginning, they balanced it well. They even joked that the secret to their marriage was double showers and separate commodes. But by 2025, the separation had become harder to ignore. Sources told People that they'd been living apart since early summer. Nicole was spending most of her time in London and Portugal, filming, traveling with their daughters, while Keith was on tour. An insider said Nicole and the girls were inseparable this past summer, while Keith was barely home. Can you imagine how tough that must have been?
Fans actually started noticing subtle signs earlier. In June, Nicole posted a simple black and white anniversary photo. "Happy anniversary, baby." But unlike previous years, Keith didn't post anything back. Then there was her Portugal residency application, which didn't include Keith's name. That sparked rumors instantly. At the time, a source explained it away, saying Keith couldn't be there because he was touring and would apply later. But now, that timing looks interesting. What do you think? Was that the first real clue that something was off?
And then there was that awkward interview moment. In July 2025,
Keith abruptly ended a radio interview after being asked how he felt about Nicole's steamy scenes with Zac Efron in A Family Affair. The hosts joked about it, but Keith's team immediately disconnected from the call. It didn't seem like much at the time, but looking back, that might have been a sign of deeper tension between them. Because not long after that, Page 6 confirmed that the couple had separated. According to multiple insiders, Nicole did not want the separation and was trying to save things. That's the part that breaks everyone's heart. This wasn't a mutual, we grew apart kind of split. Sources told People that Nicole felt betrayed and devastated. Another said she was shocked. Apparently, she's been leaning heavily on her sister, Antonia, who's been her rock through all of this.
Nicole officially filed for divorce in Nashville one day after the news of their separation went public. According to court documents, she's asking to be the primary residential parent of their daughters. They already have a parenting plan in place. Nicole gets 306 days with the girls each year. Keith gets 59. It's clear they've tried to make this as peaceful as possible for the kids. But still, you can't ignore how sudden this all seems. They signed that parenting agreement weeks before the split was announced. Nicole in early September, Keith in late August, which means things were likely unraveling quietly for a while. People close to them have said there's still care and respect between them, but their lives are just moving in different directions. One insider from Keith's side said he's been going through some stuff. Another, from Nicole's circle, claimed he's been making questionable choices for some time. That's as close as anyone has come to hinting why this happened. But what's clear is that Nicole fought hard to keep it together. She didn't want this, one source told People. She has been fighting to save the marriage. And that's what makes this story sting so much. Because when you look back at their love story, 19 years of it wasn't some PR perfect Hollywood marriage. They went through real stuff. Rehab, family loss, busy schedules, raising kids away from the spotlight. And yet, they always seem to find their way back to each other. Keith once said, "As long as I keep her as a priority, everything else seems to work. When I don't, it's Jenga." It's hard not to wonder if someone along the way, the tower just fell apart. What really stands out is how private they've both stayed. Neither Nicole nor Keith has commented publicly. No statements, no interviews, just silence. And honestly, that feels telling. Because even in the middle of heartbreak, they're still protecting what matters most. Their daughters, their dignity, and maybe even each other. Nicole's been spending time with family and focusing on her kids, while Keith continues touring. They might not be together anymore, but their lives are still deeply connected. 19 years of shared love doesn't just vanish overnight. And here's something worth remembering. Despite how it ended, their relationship was beautiful. They were that rare Hollywood couple who really tried to make it work. They showed up for each other, in crisis, in joy, in loss. For years, Nicole described Keith as her deep, deep love. And Keith once said she saved him, not just emotionally, but from himself. So yeah, the marriage is over, but what they built, that doesn't disappear. Their story isn't just about a breakup. It's about two people who loved deeply, fought hard, and just couldn't bridge the distance anymore. What do you think? Was it just time? Or do you think something else happened behind the scenes? Let me know in the comments because this one, it's heavy.